Welcome back. Hello. Hello, you. You're specifically you. Yes, you there. That handsome looking man, beautiful lady, or however you like to be gendered. Welcome to What Was I Thinking? And I am so super excited. Hold on. I wish I had me, Lee, kick that mule. No, hold on. Hold on. Wait, please listen. I'm so excited. I have been doing What Was I Thinking since I think it was like late November, early December. No. It was November. It was November. I don't do edibles anymore. So I remember things. I'm pointing at you. I'm looking at you. My eyes aren't going everywhere. Bam. Professional. I've been doing What Was I Thinking since November of 2020, and it's been a blast. It's been great, and it's over. Nope, haha, we're just getting started. Late April Fools. I asked you guys a long time ago to fill out a little survey, and it would help me to get sponsors, and you guys did it. And because of you, and even if you didn't do it, if you're like me and you are, you don't want to click a link, which is fine, I get it. But hey, just your positive energy and you telling a friend about this podcast has helped me immensely because I need a drum roll. I'm not gonna do it because it'll bang off the desk and it'll be loud in your ears. But you can imagine you're an adult, I hope, or adult enough to listen to a podcast. You have helped me get the first ever, number one, never before seen, never to be repeated, the pound for pound number one sponsor in What Was I Thinking history. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you will get visuals of this, which for today's episode you might want to be the reason for this to be revealed momentarily. Dun, 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 dun. It's my boobies were in the way, but it's Manscaped. 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 Thank you. Thank you to Manscaped. And thank you, the listener, for supporting me. And I can get this sweatshirt off. Look at me. No hands. Look, ma. No hands. Look, ma. No hands. I got a sponsor, and it's Manscaped. Oh, there we go. I forgot what side it was on. It's reversed in the camera, but you can see it. It's Manscaped. Manscaped. I want to sing that song like I'm so excited, but I came up. Listen to this. Listen how professional I am. I came up with a new jingle for Manscaped. Manscaped. If you're listening to this, and I know you aren't because I have to send it to you. If you're listening to this, here's a new jingle, and I came up with it completely on my own. No help from any former, future, or past or present. Here it is, okay? I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm about to shave my balls. I'm so excited. Bam. See? Listen to that. Show tunes, video, nipples. How great is this? Listen, they have some stuff I have to, and I'm gonna read what they want, but I'm gonna do it in my own way, okay? So this podcast, What Was I Thinking, is supported and brought to you by Manscaped. They are the best in men's below the waist grooming. They're the best. They're the best. Just so you don't smell like me. You don't smell like you have how Joey said I had hummus neck. There's no more hummus neck. Hummus balls is gone. Forget hummus neck. Hummus balls is gone. They obsess over the technology development to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. That's 4 million balls, roughly. There might be some like 3 or 1 ball people out there, but on average, that's 4 million balls that trust Manscaped. I get to offer you, and I'm thrilled to offer you, the viewer, the listener, and if you are listening or viewing, there will be a link in the description. But if you like to go the hard way, I have a code for you. you get to go to manscaped.com and use code SYATT, SYATT. I've been training you for this the entire time. How do we spell my name? S as in Sam, YATT. If you go to manscaped.com, use that code SYATT. That's what you mean to me. Came up with that too by myself. Okay, so let me just show you. Manscaped sent me the perfect package, okay? 3.0. Listen to that. It's not even the 1.0. Forget the 1.0. That's old news. 2.0, get out of here. 3.0. It's a Manscaped perfect package. Here's what they have, okay? They have this. It's called the Lawnmower 3.0. It's a third generation trimmer, okay? Features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Listen, big guys out there, I know how you. This is for got men of all shapes and sizes. But let me just speak to my fellow XL and up crowd. Sometimes, like for me, before I started losing weight, and I'm down 61 pounds, by the way, thank you, Manscaped. Sometimes your twig and berries goes away for the winter. Or it's there, but the snow's covering it. Let me just put it that. Maybe the snow needs to melt. And maybe you can't see the twig and berries, but you know the twig and berries are getting a little hairy, okay? And you got to do some maneuvering, legs up on toilet seats. Listen, things get in the way, and the Lawnmower 3.0 is not going, you're not going to end up at the ER with the lawnmower, okay? Safe. Look how sleek that looks. You look like you're like a man of mystery with this. This is the trimmer. I don't even know if I can say. I was gonna say a certain JB name, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. So I'm gonna say a man of mystery. A British secret agent. He might use these. I think he would. I think he does. It has an LED light. Look at this. Boom. So you can look at that. You can see things now. It's waterproof. You can make the shower and shave easy. You can take this into the, because who has time anymore? No one has time. Do you have time? No. Even if you're working from home, you're waking up 3 minutes before your Zoom meeting, but you don't want to have hairy balls during your Zoom meeting. Lawnmower 3.0. It comes in the perfect package 3.0. And listen, I'm going to show you everything that you got with it. It's amazing. So first, let's see here. Which one are we going to start with? Okay. We're going to start with the crop preserver. Let me tell you about the crop preserver. It is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. Listen. Back to my big guys. Anti-chafing. You and I have both had the red thighs from hell. You guys know what I'm talking about. Hurts to walk. You walk like, a penguin because some stuff has been rubbing together. No more. Not with the crop. Not with the crop preserver. Look, I remembered the name. Not with the crop preserver. And I know you can't smell this, but just imagine it. Like you smell like I imagine Fabio's. Is Fabio an old reference? Who's a hot and sexy man? Me. No, maybe. Let's just go with Michael Phelps, right? He has a swimmer's body, a swimmer's physique, and you like it. This is, and even if you're like, Lee, I'm a dude, I don't want to think about hot and sexy men. That's fine. Turn yourself into a hot and sexy man who other women, when they see you, they'll be like, ooh, I want to see what his balls smell like. And you know what they're going to smell like? They are going to smell like the crop preserver. It smells great. It smells great. But even on top of that, let's just say you've been out all day, working on the railroad. If you work outside, if you're more of a man than I am and work like moving around for a living, you definitely need this. But even if you sit in an office, trust me, if I sit down for more than 20 minutes, I need to just completely throw my balls away. They smell so bad. Not anymore. Now, once you've used the crop preserver earlier, sometimes crops go bad, okay? crops go bad. And what do you need? You need the crop reviver. Listen, look at this. Look. Boom, boom. Like, I feel like I'm in Abercrombie and whatever. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. So, ooh, what do I smell? A sexy man. God, that does smell good. Crop reviver. It's a ball toner. It's going to keep your balls from sweating, smelling, and sticking. Again, red thighs from hell. Don't let it happen to you. That smells great. Do you think my mom would mind if I just sprayed, instead of air freshener, I just sprayed crop reviver? You know? Do you think if I just had ball deodorant and shave spray? Not shave. Well, I guess it is shave, but you can use it even just to, like, listen. We're about to get out of this pandemic, okay? We're about to get out of this pandemic, and you are about to go meet some men or ladies of your choice, and there's nothing worse than you're getting ready for a little bit of like maybe a happy surprise. They said I can say whatever I want. Forget it. You're about to get a blowjob, okay? Maybe it's your first blowjob in a while. Maybe you've been over a year without a blowjob. How terrible is that? Do you want your first blowjob back to be a surprise? Like, maybe you don't want to go out that night, and you're going out because your friends made you. Like, listen, it's been a pandemic. I know you don't normally like coming out, Lee. Come out. And then I go out, and a girl or whoever you like is out there, and they're just feeling like they want to get freaky, and they want to get freaky with you. And then you didn't shower before you came out because you were lazy, and boom, stinky balls, no blowjob. That's like, let's just go back into the pandemic now. I'm depressed. Not anymore. Not with the crop reviver. So, bam. And plus, on top of all of this, on top of everything, they send you 2 free gifts. The first gift, a pair of special underwear. Boom. Listen, this is like the sexy underwear, like that your girlfriend or wife buys you, or husband or boyfriend, whoever wants to see your junkaroo. It's like satin. It's super soft. See, remember I did that episode about I rub soft things on my face? Manscaped, free underwear. I would get up and show you that, but my mom told me I'm not allowed to show my balls on camera. So, the Manscaped underwear, that's free when you buy the Perfect Package 3.0. And then this is the best part. Look at this. Look at this it's called the Shed. It looks like a real adult man's toiletry case. Listen, I've been there. You grab a plastic bag from the grocery store. You throw your toothbrush in there. You throw your toothpaste. You throw your deodorant, and you cinch it up like it's a sack you're going to put on the end of a stick, and you throw it in your suitcase, and you're not a real man. I wasn't a real man. Now, with the Shed, I'm a real man. Comes free when you get the Perfect Package 3.0. Listen, I have a very special code for you. I and your balls will thank you. Together, your balls and I are high-fiving you. Threesome of high fives when you go to manscaped.com and use code Syatt. S as in Sam, SYATT, and you get 20% off plus free shipping. That's right. You get 20% off plus free shipping with code Syatt, S as in Sam, YATT, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use code Syatt. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Okay. Bam. Thank you, and thank you to Manscaped. And now that part is over, and we can get to the regularly scheduled episode. I am super excited. I mentioned it in the little bit before that I am down 61 pounds. I'm very happy about that. And I'm just, I'm really embracing life. I'm embracing life. I'm embracing the struggle and the growth. And things are getting better every month. I I went and got my vaccine. I know some of you are going to be like, Lee, aren't you worried about microchips? Maybe. Kind of. I don't know what they put into me. My arm still hurts. I had a medical procedure. Don't get me riled up. I did get to go to where the Patriots play. Very cool. But it reminded me of how much of a turncoat traitor Tom Brady was. Tom Brady. If you're watching this, and I know you are, because who doesn't love What Was I Thinking? Why did you have to leave, Tom? We had so many good times. I took videos, I took pictures. All the banners, all those thousands of cheering fans, just for you. And you had to leave, Tom. Screw you, Tom Brady. But it's okay. We're gonna be better this year. And my brother came. My brother came to visit, which was interesting and nice. I felt bad. My mom was just basically the center of a day and a half of just straight teasing, which is fun. It's fun to tease your parents as they get older because they can't catch you anymore. But I still live here. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if I get dinner tonight. But you know what? I just want to get straight to this episode. I am super duper looper excited. That's not even a phrase or a word, but I'm using it and I'm keeping it in because that's how we roll. I am very excited to welcome my very good friend Josh Potter to the episode. You might be like, Lee, is that Harry Potter's cousin? Maybe. I didn't ask him. His name is Josh, not Harry. And he's not British. And I don't believe he has magical powers, other than to make you laugh. But his name is Josh Potter. You might know him from the Your Mom's House podcast. You definitely know him from the Josh Potter Show podcast, which is available on YouTube and audio platforms. And a reminder, Josh is bringing the Josh Potter Show to his own personal YouTube page very soon. Go and subscribe to the Josh Potter YouTube because it will help him out. And that's nice. We do nice things over here at What Was I Thinking? So you definitely know him from those two podcasts. You know him from his Twitch. I know him from doing open mic comedy in Los Angeles. I had heard of him previous to meeting him, and he was nicer than advertised. Sometimes you meet comics and they're just shitty, terrible, the worst people. Some of them are great, a lot of them stink. Josh, one of the great ones. Very, very funny and nice, and it shows how funny he is because he doesn't have like a huge ego. Like he's not walking around like I'm the funniest guy here, even though he was. But super nice, super funny. Like we hung out like I was gonna bring this up, but we hung out like I remember one time we went to a party after a mic, and my friend Ellen Doyle and I and Josh and I went to the party first, and then Ellen called us when she got there. And Ellen, Josh, and I are very similar people, and this party was a little crowded. Pre-COVID, definitely pre-COVID, and there was no 6 foot distancing, and people were loud, and it was a little bit much for this introvert. So Ellen called and was like, "Hey, I'm here," and she was like, "Would you guys rather just go drive around in my car, talk, and maybe smoke some weed?" And Josh and I were like immediately like, yes. Like I don't even know if Josh could hear it. Maybe because his eyes, I think he has like super hearing, and he just heard it. So we said yes, and we drove around. We stopped. We smoked a little weed. We just chatted. We're friends. I miss that. I'm not gonna go to a club, I don't think, ever again in my life. But I do miss hanging out with one or two people and just enjoying life. And Josh, Ellen, and I did that. It was great. It's been a long time since I've gone to talk to Josh. We've texted a little bit throughout this pandemic. I watch his Twitch stream when I'm feeling blue and I just need someone to talk to, like someone to talk at me. I don't necessarily want to talk, but I want to hear funny words coming out of people's mouths. And Josh is one of the best Twitchers out there. That sounds like a drug thing, but it's not. He plays Madden and other sports games, and he's really, really funny at it. And I am super thrilled to welcome my buddy Josh Potter to the podcast. If you want to, don't forget, go to Josh's YouTube, which you can find the link to that on his Twitter at J_Potter. And then you can find his Instagram and the link to the YouTube at Josh_Potter. So it's at J_Potter on Twitter and on Instagram, and then also Twitch. I did my research. It is at Josh_Potter. And we are very excited to welcome you, Josh, to What Was I Thinking? Thank you so much for coming on. I'm just so happy to see it. Like, this whole pandemic thing, like, I'm not really like a huge like social person, but like it was nice to be able to like see you, like, and see everybody at like the fourth wall, like at night. Even if I was in my room the whole day, like a little bit depressed, like it'd be nice to like go out and do comedy. And like this whole thing, it's just even doing a Zoom. Like before, who would have thought this would be like the most social that I've been in a year?
Oh, dude,
like,
Zooms. I fucking miss. Like, I was pretty like you. Like, I was kind of a loner, but like, I realized that I was like a loner amongst people the whole time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would go to a bar alone, but there would be people at the bar, and I'd be like watching a baseball game or a hockey game or something at the bar around people. Do you know what I mean? And like, sure, I didn't know any of them, but they were there.
Yeah, there was human contact. I made a joke about that one of the few times I did stand up in New York. I did a show, and I was like, this city's a good place for loners because, like, yeah, like you're around people, but you don't have to talk to them, which is the part I don't like. I just like it's nice to, like, you know, see somebody,
observe,
observe, and have people not be afraid of you.
If they talk to you, then you talk to them a little bit. But you know, it's like this whole thing, like, you know, you moved away, but like, you know, other people. I have friends here. I thought, you know what I mean, but like, but there isn't anybody that I'm like I should call them or I should like see what they're. You know what I mean, like that's left here at least, you know. And so it's just it's been strange for the whole year, you know, and not doing comedy definitely like took a piece of me away for sure. And like I'm dealing with the trauma of that now, I suppose. But
oh yeah, well, it's interesting because like a lot of times with just online content, everyone's always like, everything's great, I'm awesome, and you've been like pretty upfront about the fact that like it's been a rough year.
Yeah, dude, I'm not putting up any fucking like, you know, we just have to be strong and we're in this together. Fuck you, dude. Like, I am struggling. Like, I was struggling before this, and I thought I was a crybaby.
Right.
I would talk about it, and I learned how to like. I just talked about this on another podcast. I learned how to like evolve from being like the woe is me guy in my 20s to being like a little more tongue in cheek about it, and just being like, and also stand up gives you confidence. It really does. Like starting stand up.
Yes, it does. Oh my God.
Like a swag, even just like. People noticed. I remember I did shows in November. I did like a little run of 3 cities. When I came back to the studio like the next day or whatever, we had like a live event. And Tom was like, you just look different. Like you just look like you're more like you got a swagger or something like that. And I'm just like, it's like you're carrying yourself different. I'm like, yeah, man, because I was doing comedy. But during this without comedy, I'm like, dude, I need help. Like I was like begging. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And everyone's like, we all need help, man. It was one of those things where it was like when you're a kid and you have that moment where you see the adults are afraid too, and you're like, oh, no one is in control kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, it's like a flight attendant freaking out on a flight. You're like, oh shit, this is not cool. But it was funny because I don't know, your Twitch you have a very like comforting voice almost on your Twitch. Like you're being funny, and sometimes you do get animated, but like sometimes I'll just turn your Twitch on just to like have something like have it be like I'm with people. But it's fun, and then like I like how sometimes you get sort of like sometimes you get negative, like you're like just saying like this is bullshit. I hate all of this. Like,
dude, well, there's a reason for that. One, like I'm in my room, you know what I mean? So like I'm just starting to talk in just like it's stream of consciousness. So it's like I'm not like that's the thing. Like the most interaction I've had is through Twitch, and it's like words on a screen. You know what I mean? It's not even like people are talking with me, or it's not even like Clubhouse where you hear a voice. It's just words. So like you just start talking, and all of a sudden I find myself, and I'm like, And it's like, what's it all for? You
Yeah.
you're like, oh, where did I go? But I'm also like completely inebriated most of the time. But like, but yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, some people have also said they like fall asleep because I am talking. So it's late at night. I live with people,
Right.
so it's like I'm not trying to be an asshole, but so I'm kind of talking quietly, and the mic's right here, so you don't want to yell anyway. But people say they've fallen asleep to me, so I'd imagine I'm planting negative ideas in their brain sometimes.
No, I think it's funny. My favorite part, it's weird because I did Twitch for a little bit and I just couldn't get into it. I'm not good at any games, and you're actually really good at all of the
Oh
sports
no, I'm not.
games.
I'm not that great at them. I'm just like I just love them. But
Well,
it's really just talking. Like that's what you have to like. It's not about the game, as I've learned. You know what I
right.
mean? You can
Oh,
play any game.
it's not, but it's also, and I guess it could be funny that I'm angry that I'm doing so poorly, but I'll play Madden and like I'll just throw interceptions, and you throw a couple interceptions, but you'll just you actually know, like I see you moving around the plays and the players. I just do coach a suggestion the entire time, and every time I try to pick a play, it goes terribly, but I was watching it, and it's like you are very good at actually keeping like the conversation going with yourself. I fell into the trap of just responding to the chat, and then some trolls found that and would just ask like troll stuff all the time, and then like it turned me off to it. So I don't, but like you're very good at it.
Well, I don't know if it's just from doing radio and like talking to yourself, anyways. But like I feel like you can use the chat for like launching off points, and they'll see when you do that. And obviously, I acknowledge like when someone makes a donation or something like that. I feel like an asshole if I don't.
Right.
But that I feel like they notice like when the things that you start to like if you pick and choose. Like I was really good in the beginning of ignoring trolls on there. But
Right.
the year went on, and I start you get drunk and like then you start saying shit. But like also, I do a scorched earth policy on them, and they tend not to be able to keep up in that regard. So it is like it just discourages the activity. You know what I mean? But I'll have them every now and then too. And you get the same type of questions, especially now with the Your Mom's House stuff. I'll get all kinds of questions. It's like, who are you to think that I'm just going to answer that right now? You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that's really
Like,
what it comes
what do
down
you
to.
expect? Like, yeah, people would do the same with me and Joey, and even when I was like working with Joe, they'd be like they'd say shit, and I'm like, do you expect me to like badmouth him on the internet? Like
Yeah.
even if I wanted to, like obviously we've worked
I'm gonna
together
do it
for
because
9 years. I like him.
dipshit 404 told me to. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh God. It's and then like, and we're gonna. I want to talk to you about radio, but like you also do like these marathon, like 8-12 hour like playing like Madden
Yeah.
like you do like a season in a night. I make it
Sometimes
through one game and I'm exhausted, and you're just going through, and like how do you like, is that from your radio days? Like how do you just have the stamina? And it sounds silly because you're just playing video games, but like you're talking like
it's the talk, dude. I've woken up and gone like, I think I have coronavirus, but it's because I was like talking all night,
right.
and I don't really know. I can just talk. I mean, like to myself, to anybody. I don't enjoy doing it like all the time. Like if I'm in a social setting, I'm not the like center of the circle all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I'm often very quiet. But if people talk to me, I'll talk back. I can carry a conversation. So it's really contingent on the people being there. You know what really gives me the juice to keep going is like when people from I go late enough here on the West Coast where people from Europe are waking up and tuning in, and then I'm getting like a wave of European people who are just waking up, and then all of a
Right.
sudden then the East Coast wakes up.
Right.
So the numbers just keep plugging in, and that makes me like keep going, or at least it used to. It like juiced me enough to keep going.
Right.
And now, dude, I mean, now I go like 4 hours, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do that because it was fucking my sleep up too. I was streaming from like 7 to 7 or 7 to 8, and then I'd sleep all day, and I'd miss the day, and then I'd wake up and I'd be like, all right, it's nighttime again. Better go get another 6-pack and stream again. You know what I mean? So it just became this weird cycle. And as much as I enjoy doing it, I was like, well, I want to continue to enjoy it, so I'm not going to kill myself doing it like this. This is crazy.
Right. And it's funny because like I was just thinking about what you said about like like it's not about the games, and one of the funniest things I'd watch you do is your roster management. Like you'd
Yeah.
go through like you're mad, and you're like you'd get mad at like imaginary people who are like asking for too much money. Like you be like your punter. There's a clip of you like your punter. Like I make you punt 3 times a goddamn year, and you're asking for out of here. Like, and it's just like you make like you make it very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that video game. Even in its crappiest of forms, that's just always been that's my like World of Warcraft or whatever, or my Fortnite
Right.
or whatever, you know what I mean? And when it comes to like I'm very like I'm not OCD in any way, but I am OCD about like we have to make sure we've got all the roster spots filled. Like it's like real football to me, so I just like go
Right.
through it with a fine tooth comb. Even the fake players, I like the fake players even more because that means I had to scout them out. There's no like predicated sort of information on them. These people aren't
Right.
real, so I have to like figure out which ones are the good ones.
And
So
you
that's
remember
always
where they
fun for me.
play. Like I'll watch you and like you'd be like, oh, someone's like Jadavius Montgomery like moved from the Raiders to the Browns,
Yeah.
and I'm like, how does
Yeah.
he remember this stuff?
I don't know, but dude, I'm not even because I'm fucked up the whole time. I'm not even remembering him as good as some of the people in the chat. Remember, they'll be like, "Oh, remember?" Like, I have guys that like I've dubbed them like part of my front office because they'll remember.
Right.
They'll like come in. They'll be like, "Remember, you were gonna trade so and so," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah." Or they'll be like, "Remember, you have to switch his position over," or something like that. Or they'll know all this shit. They'll be like, some people look forward to just the drafts. Like they'll be
Yeah.
like draft night or whatever. I'm like, yeah, we'll do the draft tonight, and then they like have they're like sending me reports and shit like that, like on DM and stuff. It's crazy.
That's just, and then so have you ever thought about like I know obviously you're a great comedian, you want to be a comedian, but have you
Yeah.
thought about ever like maybe trying to get a job with the Bills or like EA or like
Oh, dude,
actually working with
I
that
would
stuff?
fucking, of course, if I could be the GM of my favorite football team, it's like, yeah, but you have to like go to law school and like understand business and like I don't even know like economics. I mean, these guys are all fucking lawyers or ex CEOs and shit. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying?
I would
Like,
love to see you do the negotiations with like Stefan Diggs after a down year. Like Stefan, come on, you dropped the ball
that's
against
another
the
thing.
Patriots.
I'm terrible at. I'd let if Stefan Diggs walked into my office and this cool black guy walked in and he was like, "I want to make $700 million." I'd be like, "Whatever you say, dude. Yeah, you deserve it." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I would suck at that. You know what I mean?
Oh my,
I would be terrible.
that's just but I try not to talk about like stuff that's happening, but you like I finally understood like because I've just got lucky with the Patriots. Like they were amazing for 20 years, and now like we were like I think a 9-7 team or something, 7-9. I was
Yeah.
like I like it give it, like I really respect you and people like you as a sports fan because like it's easy to be a fan when things are going well, but when things are not going well and like you still are like genuinely like really pumped for a game you probably know you're going to lose.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
like that takes like dedication.
yeah, man. I mean, it's funny to hear you say that because I mean, that's like, well, yeah, that's what sports are. But then I remember like there is a generation of human being that is a Patriots fan that has never had any plight. Because when I was a little kid, the Patriots sucked basically until they got Drew Bledsoe, and then they were
Right.
like, all right, the Patriots are kind of annoying now, and the Bills were good, and the Bills had that too. There was like granted, it was only for like I don't know 1989 to 1996 or something like that. But still, that like 7 years, we went to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row. And so there was like even some Bills fans that were like fucking spoiled and shit. Like there was in that 4th year we went to the Super Bowl, there was a playoff game against the Oilers, the greatest comeback in the history of football, where we didn't sell it out. There was a blizzard.
Really?
But also
Oh, okay.
like, but like also people were like, fuck that, we're just going to go to the Super Bowl and lose again. Like that was the mentality of people.
Right.
And that's in that like
it bugs me. Like that's I was like I'm a big Boston sports fan. Like but it's tough because I love like my favorite place in the world is Fenway Park, but
Yeah.
it's hard to follow baseball from across the country when like you can't watch the games on TV and there's just too many games for baseball. But like I went to Dodgers Stadium and Angels Stadium, and Angels was better than Dodgers, but like Dodgers, like there'd be more Red Sox shirts than there were Dodger shirts. People would show up late and leave early, and like they wouldn't like. I've heard like there's varying levels of fans. Like I've heard like it's always like I'm a bleachers dude. I love the bleachers. It's a lot more fun. I've sat in like the nice areas, and it's
Yeah.
boring as shit. And the Dodger Stadium to me felt boring. Like, and I see these videos of the Bills guys like taking the table out. Like
Yeah.
it just looks like, even though I hate you, it seems like a good
Yeah, yeah.
time.
No, Bill's tailgate is like nothing else, and it's only got a few years left. They're gonna move the
You think
stadium.
so?
Yeah, I think it'll be in a new form, but like in the way that it is now in its like heyday, I'm lucky that I came up in the time that I did, because it's only a matter of time until we move the stadium somewhere downtown or something, or they get a new one. This is an ancient stadium, and it's been talked about already ad nauseum. But yeah, I just think once they move it, it's going to change the atmosphere of that. It's going to become more Disney World or whatever. But right now, it's
Right.
like you're in the woods. You're in the fucking woods, throwing each other through flaming tables in the snow. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I've done more drugs at Bill's tailgates than bars. You know what I mean? Like middle of the day, like at 1, because we didn't have any primetime games coming up either when I was, in college and in high school. We sucked, so it was like
Right.
every game was at 1 p.m. on Sunday.
Oh, well, that is the one good thing about LA, is watching football, because you get to wake up at like 9:45.
I hate that, to be quite honest.
Oh,
I hate
really?
how early they are. I missed so many football games. Obviously not during coronavirus year. And 2019, I did better too. But when I first moved here, it was such a pain in the ass because I would always be flying home. I'd get home at like 1 p.m. on a Sunday.
Right.
And I'd be like, fuck, every time I'm missing the Bills game,
Okay,
flying
that makes
back
sense.
or something. It
Well,
sucked.
I want to talk to you just a second about Buffalo, because I stopped there on my drive home, and you told me I am going to go visit your place for wings, but I was literally driving through, so I stopped at Duff's.
Duff's is great.
It was amazing. Like the wait, I even bought some of the wing buckets. I was just so
You went
like,
to the good one too. You went to the Sheridan Drive one. That's the best one.
Oh, okay, yeah. I wanted to go to like the original one, and I think that was the original one. Yeah. But I went there, and then and he was not stupid, but my friend was like, "You're driving through. You should go to Niagara Falls." And I stupidly listened to him, and I went up, and I took, apparently, like I'm such a cheap asshole. I took like the no tolls way, so I went to like the backwoods of Buffalo.
Oh, you went like around the. You went like you could have went over Grand Island and just paid $1.
Right.
And instead, you went like around Grand Island.
Right. It took like 40 minutes. It cost $10 to park. And I don't know about, like, I would imagine you probably went there on every field trip in grade school, but like it was such garbage. Like,
it's terrible.
I would spend literally 6 minutes at Niagara Falls. I was like, oh, it's water. Like like, okay, good.
You learn living there, like the free places to park or whatever, and like you could park at the casino and just walk over there and stuff like that. But like also the toll thing, like you said, that drive is brutal. I've done that drive like on the way home to avoid because there would be like an accident on Grand Island, and there's only really one highway across. So like if there's an accident, you're fucked. So you have to drive around, and that drive blows. But like Niagara Falls, like we never had field trips there, but we'd have like, a family member would come to town and you'd have to take them there. And that was like, oh my God. And so we'd do that like every summer as a kid, and I'd hate it. And it's just the American side is like Johannesburg. It's like it's been bombed out. Like the Canadian side's beautiful. If you go over there, you're like, wow, there's shit to do. There's restaurants, there's bars, there's like nightlife. And on the American side, it's like fucking shanty towns. It's like looks like a war zone.
I know. Okay, so here's what I wanted to know. First of all, I was just looking at the hotels driving up, and they're such pieces of shit hotels, and I can't imagine what they actually charge. I'm like, who spends more than a day?
Criminals.
What do you do?
That's like hookers and criminals and stuff. Those hotels are like the equivalent of like if you go to Daytona Beach. It's the same thing. It's like from the 70s. You know what I mean? Like, because at one point, Niagara Falls was the honeymoon capital of the world.
Really?
Like for a long time. And I don't know when that stopped, but I remember that being even floated out as when I was a kid, but definitely in the like 70s, the 60s. So that's why those hotels are all like the Blue Marlin Inn, and it's all that, like it's kind of the same here as like Hollywood, you know what I mean? Like they have those shitty like the Hollywood Walk of Fame Inn or whatever, and then you go inside, it's got like Elvis painted on the wall, but it's like a fucking shithole.
I stayed at one of those. One of my first, when I first got to LA, I had some friends, but I feel like we're similar. I didn't want to impose on anybody and like sleep on their couch, so I paid for a week of a hotel that I couldn't afford. And I get there, I get in. First, they give me a key to a room that already has someone in it, and then I get to the room and it's like two beds, but it's almost like you know how like your grandparents or like your family member had like a pull out couch that was disgusting. It was like
Yeah,
it was the only time I've ever got to a hotel, stayed one night, and like the next morning I was like, I can't stay here.
yeah.
Like there's
I
something
hear that.
wrong.
I've done that. I've done that. That's hilarious. I've taken these hotels down here, and like when I first moved here, and I would take girls to them. Like it would just be
Really?
like girls that I didn't want to necessarily like bring to my house, so they knew where I lived. I would just like after a mic or something go to one of those because they'd be like $60 or something, and then you just be like, all right, and then you could just leave it, and then they could stay or whatever. You just be like, peace.
That's that I don't know what that says. It either says something about guys or about comics, but it's like I once made a Google Voice number for a girl because I didn't want her having my actual phone number.
Well, it wasn't that I would just like it's not that I didn't want them to really know where I lived necessarily. Also, it was like weird because I didn't know like who I was living with yet at the time. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really
Right.
know if they'd care or not. So I would just do this as like a thing, and then it just felt like I was like I don't know, like a spy or something. But it would always be fun because you just make it be fun. You're like, you want to go to this stupid hotel and just fuck, and then you'd be like, that sounds fun, you know, because you're just gonna go fuck anyway. So it's like, let's go to this dumb hotel and do it, you know.
God, I'm jealous of your like whatever confidence to be able. I like for me, whenever I talk to a girl, it's like oh I pretend like we're not gonna fuck. Like it's just
No, but
I
if you
need
know you're gonna fuck, that's the thing, though. That's the
yeah.
difference. Like when all the airs aren't about, you know you're gonna fuck. You can just propose wild shit like that. You're like, wouldn't it be crazy if we went to this hotel and be like, that'd be fun, and then you just go fucking ruin the hotel. You fuck all over it. You know what I mean? You throw
Have you been hooking up during Corona? I've been fucking. I hooked up
a couple of
a
times.
couple times in Milwaukee, but with one girl who was awful. Like that. That's when I'm hoping she never calls me again. But
Oh, that sucks. I haven't had any awful ones at all. I've had um a couple that like I've been meaning to like hang out with, and it's just been like, because the coronavirus had halted things. So it'd be like, why don't you just come here? We'll get a room or whatever. This is like when things were, I don't know, I guess things were kind of open.
oh, I lost your audio.
So,
Oh, there we go.
oh, sorry about that. So yeah, no, I mean, it was, I did it twice where I had a girl come out here and hang out for like a couple of days, and no, three times. But yeah, it was opening up each time. You know what I mean? Like the one time we went to a diner, and then another time we went to the Comedy Store when it was like open,
Okay.
and then this last time it was like things just started opening again like a couple weeks ago. So
Okay. Well, that's. I do want to talk to you about comedy. Oh, are you still there?
yeah, sorry, I touched my screen on accident. My bad.
Oh no, that's fine. So I want to like because like you have an interesting story for a bunch of reasons, but like I want to talk to you about radio because I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I ever told you, but my dad was actually in radio for like 25 years. He
No
was
shit, really?
yeah, he was a talk show host. He actually
What?
I don't know if he invented it, but he had a show called Dick Syatt's Single Hotline, and he did like call in dating in like the 70s and 80s. He was on To Tell the Truth on TV.
Wow.
He was on radio in Dallas and Miami. He had a show in Miami at like 21. Um, but he's really interested in what I'm doing with podcasts because like it's very similar. But
Yeah,
we were talking once. He's like, I don't even know how people get into radio these days. So like,
dude. I don't know either. I mean, like I got very lucky. I feel like I got in when the door closed. Do you know what I mean? Like I like snuck in right as they closed it because the way that I started out was just doing internships,
right?
and then I just wouldn't leave. Like I did an intern. I had my internship was in sales, and I somehow ended up as a producer of the morning show like by a year later, which is what I wanted to do. But I remember I was in sales doing my internship, and I wrote the executive producer of the morning show, an email, and he knew my aunt because my aunt was his girl, like his Cub Scout, like den mother or whatever.
Okay.
So she was like, "Oh, him! I remember him from back." So that was like my in with him. So I was like, "My aunt is so and so," and this guy hasn't seen her in years or whatever. And I was like, "I'm
Right.
obsessed with the show. I'd love to just come in and sit in for a day or whatever, or like do a summer internship or something like that. I just asked for whatever. I just wrote this email, and then he wrote me back, and he let me do a couple of events with them while I was a sales intern. And then he was like, well, yeah, you just have to like wait till the school year ends and we can start you on another internship. But they didn't know I was only a junior in
In
high
high school or
school.
college? Oh, high school. Okay.
In high school, yeah. So I was about to go. So I did an internship that whole summer, and then my senior year started, and they thought I was going to college at that point, but I wasn't. I was going to high school. So they offered me a job, like a part-time job.
Oh wow, and you just like rolled with it. You were just like, yeah, sure.
Well, the way that they didn't really offer it to me. The way that they needed to hire a new junior producer, kind of like an associate producer,
Okay.
and I had learned how to do everything. So I was teaching the person they hired how to edit, basically.
Oh wow.
And so one day I just like, I don't know where I got this balls, but I went up to my boss and I was like, why am I teaching her how to do it when you can just hire me to do it? And he was like, that's a good point. And then he just did. And then I was like, oh wait, I'm in school still. So I got my guidance counselor to shuffle my classes to the end of the day and like let me take a couple finals so I could just not have those classes. And he was like all about it. Yeah, he was like chill with it. He was all about it because he was like, this is good for you or whatever. So I did that. And then like I spent 3/4 of the school year from like, I'd say from November until the end of the year, coming in at like 1 p.m. and doing like 2 classes a day, basically. After
That's
working
great.
from, yeah,
From like 6 to 10 or something.
I was working from like 5:30 till I just wouldn't want to leave. I'd stay there as long as I could, and then I'd go straight to school. But they would all when I started college, it got really weird. They would tell me like, you have to leave. They kept telling me like, you're not allowed to skip school for this. They were really like protective of me, like stay in school kind of thing, which was horseshit. I didn't end up staying in school. It only made me not want to do it more. But when I first to get on the air, I had to do weekend shifts and overnights, and I was doing like my first shift ever was doing like the midnight to 6 a.m. on the night into Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? That Wednesday night into Thanksgiving.
Right.
And then again from Thanksgiving night into that Friday, Black Friday. So I don't know how kids do it now. You know what I mean? Because there is no live air shifts on the weekends or overnights anymore. It's all voice tracked. So
really? Oh, I didn't know.
They don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to pay. Most places don't want to pay someone to be live 24/7 anymore. It used to be a law that you had to have a human body in there. So they were like, might as well have the DJ be in there or whatever, because
right.
They needed to have a person in there to watch all that in case there was an emergency or something. But now the FCC doesn't even require that.
That's why. And so like, because my dad, he has stories about like his dad taking him to basically do what you did, like as a young kid, just watch a show. Like,
yeah.
How did you? What made you want to do it? Was this before even comedy was an idea? Like, did you want to be
Way
like a radio personality?
Yeah, I mean, I thought like the guys that like when I was a kid or whatever, I'd listen to the radio and like they were doing comedy shows, and I thought like that was comedy. Do you know what I mean? So I thought doing that meant that I was a comedian. And then, I learned of what obviously I knew what stand-up was, but I didn't know that it was like its own thing, I guess you could say. Like I knew of stand-ups that would go on Opie and Anthony or, the show I worked on, Shred and Reagan, stand-ups would come on. But I never thought of that as like being a job by itself. I always like looked up to like Jim Norton or somebody like that was a stand-up who did the radio. Do you know what I mean? I thought that was the coolest way to go about it, Right. I didn't even think about the fact that like, oh, well, he can use that platform to sell tickets and then go on the road. Like that wasn't even what I was just thinking like, how cool is it that this radio guy gets to do stand up too? But I didn't even know what that really meant. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, how could you? I mean, I remember like being starstruck by people on the radio. Just the fact like they were on local Boston radio to me as a kid was like, that's the coolest thing in
the summer world. Before my internship, I got autographs from my future boss, like he was the producer of the show, and then he had my job, and then he got the executive producer job when I got hired, and then he became the program director, and like it's just so wild. Like I worked with him for 15 years, pretty side by side. But before that, I thought he was like a celebrity. You know what I mean? It's just hilarious.
Did he remember that you got the autograph?
I don't think so. I mean, it was like at Edgefest 9. They all remembered me from that concert because I was like trying so hard to get an internship at that time. Like they were like, "Oh, we remember you." Like the way that I got that sales internship was I worked for. This is hilarious. Like at the time, tobacco. That like truth campaign that they had.
Oh, about like how bad it is for you.
Right. I worked for like like another campaign like that called Reality Check. It was called, and it was to fight advertising of tobacco with advertising. So we got
Okay.
like, and they like came to my school and like recruited me and shit, which is weird. And then I had to go like recruit other kids, and we would have meetings and stuff like that, and we'd get a whole budget from New York State that we could spend on media, and I facilitated the buy for a tent to have at the radio station's festival. So I set that all up with the sales guy, and I was like kind of busting his balls on it a little bit, and he was like, this fucking 14-year-old kid's like busting my chops on this deal. And like I just was kind of like, afterwards I was like, hey, give me an internship, dude. And then he did, because he would just like remembered me like that. Like he would just remember me as that 14-year-old kid that like, he's like, this guy kind of raked me over the coals, like he'll be a good sales intern or whatever. So like
Right.
he let me have a sales internship.
Do you ever think about that? Like, I was similar with like I wanted to go to Emerson, and I mean, it got me to LA, but it ended up not being totally worth it. But like, I found out the name of the guy who was going to be reading my application. I sent him an email every week for months, and then like certain jobs, like I was a much harder worker as like a kid than I am now. Like I did
think
some
about that
stuff.
too. And here's the thing. I don't think you're a harder worker. I just think you now are smarter. And you just were like, back then you were like, who do I, like you were just ballsier. It was just this ballsy thing. And it's not
Or
even about
dumber.
being
Yeah, you're right.
ballsy. You're dumber though. That's exactly right. You're just dumber. And you're just sort of like, I'll just email. What's going to happen? You weren't like worried about anything really. You know what I
Annoying
mean? Like,
anybody, or yeah,
yeah,
they,
yeah.
they probably let me in just so I would stop. I would email them like stupid things. I'd be like, I'll buy you lunch. We'll have lunch in the Boston Common, which is right across from the campus. And like at a certain point, he must just be like, God, I hope this kid stops emailing me, and he's never gonna stop. So I have to let him in. Jesus.
It's weird. Like I don't have confidence, but I weirdly have like this thing where it's like, if I just get in the door, I'll prove my worth. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I had that innate ability. And you know what's so funny with the stuff with your mom's house? Like I didn't have that. I got in the door, but then I never expected to get in that door.
Right.
And I didn't have the like ability to stay there as like a behind the scenes guy. You know what I mean? Because all that shit's way beyond me. Do you know what I mean? Like technology wise.
Okay.
Like I bring nothing to the table other than I showed them my end of things, like how to mix audio, and they picked it up in like 2 seconds. It was like teaching a professional dancer how to do like the most simple step. You know what I mean? With like professional post-production people, you're
right.
like, oh, the only thing you don't know how to do is mix audio. Well, here's like it's voices, so here's like 3 steps, and all you have to like look for. And they were just better at it than all of us. You know what I mean? Like that's all it took.
Well,
and
you're
so
also
like,
you're very
all right.
You're good on mic and on camera too, which is something like I don't know. What do you think? I was gonna say you can't teach it,
Well,
but I
mean,
guess maybe you can a little bit, but not really. Like
I had to learn it. I mean, there's an innate instinct that comes with doing stuff on stage and performing and things like that, and broadcasting and things like that. But you do learn things. I mean, you do get better if you're trying to. You know, there are obvious natural. It's like any sport or any athlete. It's like there are obvious natural abilities, but then the work that they put in separates them from being like elite to just being like naturally talented. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that like I want to get back to that because like you told me a story that if you've told it on a podcast, I apologize, but it's like you had a job in Cleveland, but like you didn't want to move there, so like you would drive back and forth to Buffalo.
Well, I had to move to Cleveland like pretty immediately. Like it was brought to my attention by a guy that worked at a competing station in Buffalo. He's like, I got a job for you. It'll pay you this much. Well, he didn't tell me what it was going to pay, but he just knew it was going to be more. And
right.
He's like, I can't tell you where it is, but if you say yes to it, you have to be there in 11 days to start the show. So now, like, I know I have to be to some mystery city in 11 days. So I have like a day to decide this. So like, I think about it and I'm like, well, it's more money. That's all I said to myself. And it's like, I get to progress further. And I'm talking to some people at my job and they're like, yeah, you should just go for it. So I tell the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, it's in Cleveland." I'm like, "All right, a little bit of a lateral move there." And then I find out the deal. I don't get any moving expenses, which is kind of par for the course in radio.
Right.
But so I know that I have to get there in 11 days. I have a lease on my apartment. There's no getting out of that. So I go down there, and I like first couple nights I sleep like in the parking garage across the street from the radio station.
Jesus.
And then my dad, he owned a bar inside of a Clarion Inn or whatever, one of those hotels.
Right.
And so he like had trade or whatever, or he had like a deal with Clarion. So I like hit him up about that. And he had to like come down and stay with me to like let me use the free room or whatever. So plus he was like, I'll help you look for an apartment. So my dad came down. So I stayed there for another 3 days with my dad, and he like found me a place, and I signed. I didn't even look at it. I just signed whatever paper. He found it to me. We met up for lunch, and I signed it. I was like, just give me an apartment. So because I'm like doing the show, by the way, every day, like, and I had to
Oh,
like get there the day before it launched and learn all the equipment, and they're like installing shit as I'm like learning stuff. Like there's 3 engineers behind me like drilling on a new board or whatever while I'm
oh
fucking
God.
around on the current stuff. So I'm just like learning how to do everything. And it was stressful. So like I didn't sleep very much, and then the show was whatever. I'm learning these guys and how to like work within them or whatever. And so, 6 days go by, I get that apartment. I move my air mattress and my like television in there, and I still had my old apartment though. Do you know what I mean? And I
Right.
had no friends in Cleveland, and it's a 3 hour drive down the 90. So I would just like go to work on Friday, be done by 11:30 a.m., drive straight to Buffalo, take a nap, go out with my friends, stay in Buffalo all weekend, watch Sunday night football at my cousin's house. When it was over at midnight, I'd drive to work and do work. And then
Wow.
I'd go to my apartment in Cleveland and sleep all day on Monday.
Well, I mean, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of it was just like you preferred Buffalo, but like I think
Yeah.
about it, I think about it all the time because a lot of comics like sleep in their car and end up doing like crazy shit like that, and I don't think I have that in me to be like even when I started comedy, like one of the reasons why it took me 6 or 7 years, I guess, of working with Joey to think about starting is I don't like being like broke. Like I don't love anything enough to live in my car, to like sleep in
I
my
don't know.
car.
It's fun to like, I don't know, it's like camping kind of. Like I'd spend weeks like on the road, like when I could go out for a week, couple weeks at a time. And the whole time I would sleep in my car. Maybe you get like a room here and there, but it would be like camping. I don't know. It'd be fun. And then you'd find like a truck stop where you can shower and you'd be like refreshed or whatever. I'd find one every day. I love showers. So like I'd find a rest stop to shower in all the time.
I heard those showers aren't bad.
They're not bad, dude. For the truckers, they're like, if you find like a really good truck stop, they're fucking great. That's why it's like, what are you? Who cares? You know what I mean? It's like I didn't even feel like I slept in my car, and I had a Jeep at the time, so like my backseat was spacious. I had a sunroof. I'd like crack open. It was like I felt like I was camping in those like 2 summers where I would do that like on a regular basis.
Oh wow. Well, like, when I left LA, I left later. I left so much stupid shit in LA. Actually, if you want a mini fridge, my neighbors just told me it's still there. So if you want to break into my garage, it's still there.
I'm trying
Um,
to minimize my shit myself, to be honest with you.
right. Um, but I left later in the day than I wanted, so I didn't get very far, and I got to Utah, and I slept in not even a truck stop in a rest area, and I just
Yeah.
remember how like creepy it was, and like my stuff was in the front seat. It was like, and then the worst part is I woke up early the next morning, and the dude who was cleaning the rest area backed into my car, like my brand new. I got the
Oh my
car like a
god.
month in advance, like a month before, and I look like it. Just I do like to think the best of people, but this dude, it was like the spaces were angled, so I backed up and then I was putting it into drive, and he just didn't pay attention and back. Luckily, was slowly backed into me, and he told me that he did it. It's obvious. It's obvious that he did it, but then he just straight up lied to his insurance and said that I backed up into him, even though it was like it was the side of my car that was damaged. I don't know how you
Oh
back
my
up into
god.
somebody with the side of your car. Luckily,
Yeah.
luckily, long story short, I won. Like my insurance won the arbitration, and I got
Right.
my deductible back. But I was like, when that happened, it was a guy who was cleaning the bathrooms, and I had just literally packed up my entire life into my car, and I was like, I like
Was he in a work car?
no, he was in a fucking Prius, and the worst part
Oh,
is, it was like, and I'm actually doing pretty. Pretty happy. I'm not making the money I want to, but like I can see that it's coming.
yeah.
But um, he was. This was before I lost any weight. He was cleaning the bathrooms in like a border town of Utah at rest areas, and like he kind of looked like I might look in like 10 years if I didn't lose any weight. And I was just depressed. I was this is like God coming and saying, "This is you're gonna end up cleaning the bathrooms in Utah with a shitty Prius." But I'm good for you, man. Like that's how I know like you're gonna be a great comic
Well, I don't know
because
about
like
that. Don't get me wrong. Like at the time, I didn't look at it as like this is great. You know what I mean? But like
right.
I look back on it now and I kind of romanticize it. But like at the time, I was like, this sucked. But I was always kind of like, if this is what it is, then this is what it is, and then I'll just die. Like that's the thing. You were like, it's creepy to stay there. Like
I'll just
you're like, it's
die.
creepy to like. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If it doesn't work out, you know what happens? You just die. You die, right? I mean, like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You die. All right.
Right.
But like, uh, you were just saying how it's creepy or whatever. I just learned at some point to just be like, I am the reason this is creepy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes,
I'm
the
the one people
situation is
should be
creepy,
afraid
but like,
of.
yeah, but like, I'm a part of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just as
Right.
creepy as the situation. Like, I can just be a part of this creepy situation. It's like when you go to a dive bar or something. People are like, "Can you believe this bar?" It's like, not really, but like, if you just pretend like you belong here, people think you're a part of the furniture. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to act like out of sorts. No one's gonna call you out for being out of sorts if you just act naturally. Do you know what I mean? Same as
Oh
those type
yeah.
of places.
Speaking of bars, I just remembered it. If anyone is in LA, have you been to Rustic Inn
That's my
in
bar, dude.
I was gonna say if you haven't been, that's
It's in
definitely
my
a place.
neighborhood.
Okay, I went there a couple times before I left LA, and it's like the bartender was like super hot, but like had tattoos and was like
Yes,
very
yes,
intimidating. And the wings were good, and I was like, Josh could probably do well
dude.
there.
I
Like,
go there during the day. I mean, that was my bar. And
yeah,
then the world shut down, and I haven't been back since. To be honest, I was there the day they shut LA down a year ago. I
really.
spent like the last moments of LA being open. I remember it being so weird. They were like, I went to that bar. Everything was just kind of weird. The NBA shut down. Things were starting to get strange, and I was sitting there like in the middle of the day. I won't say who I was with, but we were doing coke, and
Oh,
at like 2 p.m. It was a
okay.
girl, and I wasn't gonna do coke until like all the Corona stuff started happening. And she was like, "Do you want to do coke?" I'm like, "Might as well. We're in this bar." Like, because the bartender started saying like, "We're gonna have to close at midnight. Like, the governor's gonna shut us down at midnight." I'm like, "What's
Jeez.
going on?" You know what I mean? It was scary at the
Were you
time.
just doing it
And I
out in
remember
the open on the bar or the table, or were you going to the
no,
bathroom?
I was going to the bathroom like a
All
gentleman.
right.
But like, I remember midnight coming around. They shut that bar down, and we walked out. And I was like, "I can't believe this is happening." And so we went to the bar across the street, the writers' room, and they
Okay.
let us in. They let us in there for like one more drink, but then it was like 1 o'clock. They kicked us out of there, and they were really strict about it. They must have got like government was coming in there, or the cops or something, because it just started getting really weird, dude. And
Jesus.
yeah, and that was the last day like bars were open in LA in
That's
2020.
That's why I don't. God, I probably went. No, that's how I gained a bunch of weight because I don't know. Like I panicked because they kept telling us that they weren't gonna let us out of our apartments. So like I found a Walmart literally like 30 miles on the 101, like towards Calabasas, and I just bought like 40 packs of Rice Krispie treats, like mac and cheese, and I just like panic ate in my apartment and gained like probably 30, 40 pounds.
Dude, that's so funny. I was the opposite. Like when I thought they were going to keep us in our house, I was like, I'll see about that. And I went for like 10-mile walks every day. I was like, I'm just not going to be in my house because they might just like by law make us stay in here. So I'd walk every day. I'd go out. I'd be like, let's see them try. Like put a gun to my head, make me go back in my apartment. That was the way I saw it. So but then after the holidays, I swear, man, like I'm only just starting to be able to get out of my house again. Like I was just beaten down to the point, and there was just nothing to do around here. There was no
Right.
place to walk to anymore. You know what I mean? I did all the things I could walk to. Do you know what I mean? So there was no reason to walk anymore. And I spent like December, January, February, just like in my fucking apartment the whole time.
And you like I think you probably live in an okay area, but like sometimes you'll post or you'll be on Twitch and you'll be like, oh,
No, I
there's
don't.
just a stabbing. There's just a stabbing
Yeah, no,
100 feet away from my apartment.
I post the citizen updates every now. Who knows how accurate they are? But I mean, I live in East Hollywood. It's not like it was pretty dicey before the pandemic. You know what I mean? So it's definitely
Right.
gotten worse. But I don't know that it's as bad as like I heard North Hollywood is just bananas. I think it's a
Yeah.
little better than that because I'm like on the border of Silver Lake, and Silver Lake's pretty chill. But like even like Echo Park is like a couple miles away, and like right now they have like a trillion homeless people there that they're like sending an army of police in to go. And like during the George Floyd shit, like you got this way Beverly Hills had riots, and then this way downtown had riots. So like it sounded like I was surrounded by war the whole time.
Yeah. No,
That was bananas.
it was terrifying. So just to get back on track.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it was my fault. So like when did stand up come into play when I'm almost positive you were still on the radio.
No, I definitely was. It was 2008. And like I had started making friends with some of the local comics because they were coming on and doing the show. And one in particular, Matt Bergman, who was one of my best friends to this day, he like we went to a concert together and we're hanging out, and like we had become friends at this point. So he like knew I was doing funny stuff on the radio or whatever. And he just goes, "Why don't you do stand up?" And I was like, I kind of been thinking about it actually. I just really don't know how that happens. Like, how do you do stand up or whatever?
Right.
And he's like, "Well, you go to open mics." You know, he gave me the rundown. And so I went to like 2 open mics in Buffalo at a bar. They were like they were dog shit. Like I didn't get a single laugh. And I was like, all right. And I thought like at first I'm like, well, the situation was shitty, so that's why I didn't get laughs, you know, but I still bombed. But it didn't hurt me enough. And then he put me on a show at a rock club that he was doing. And this thing was like 300 people sold out.
Dang.
And I just
for your third time on stage or something?
Yeah. And I did do 5 minutes. And I ate it so hard that like I walked out in the alleyway, I puked.
What?
I could not even like, I was like throwing up. I was like, because it was such a bad bomb.
Right.
And I just wasn't prepared. Like I did 2 sets, you know what I mean? Like I just wasn't, and I didn't get on stage again for like 8 months. And then I started up, that was in 2007. And I don't even really consider myself having started until 2008, because I started doing it like twice a week, 3 times a week, you know, hearing, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
A little more seriously, and got more results actually. So, and I just remember it clicking a little bit better as I started doing it. And then I became obsessed with it and doing it as often as I possibly could. I feel like I have to reinvigorate myself in that way, even though I miss it terribly. And I feel like I lost a part of myself. I have to spark myself to like overcome my introvertedness to get back out there and do sets again. You know?
Oh, yeah, it's tough, especially like just, you know, going out every night for hours and hours a night. Like, and like I know you can do that in LA. What's the scene like in Buffalo? Like, could you do mics every night?
Well, it started out where when I first started, there was maybe 2, and there was really only one good one. And that was once a week, every Tuesday. And that was like our Super Bowl, dude. Like me and the other comics who like I was friends with, like Tuesday night was like party night. We'd go out till 4 a.m. every fucking time. And eventually, you know, the success of that mic spread other mics, you know. So another one would open up, and then another one. So there was like, I would say there were about 2 or 3, two steady ones and a third like flaky one that would pop up here and there by the time Helium started. And then when Helium started, it kicked things into overdrive. So now Helium has a mic, and then there's an original mic, and then there's another one. So there's like, you can get on stage now in Buffalo Monday through Friday if you do everything. And it's really just the weekends that are kind of like, and then if you get booked on a weekend, then it's like, it's perfect. You know what I mean? So you can get at least this. And I found that to be like, you know, probably in my like heyday, you know, where I was starting to like, right before I came out here kind of shit, or where I was like really working and building an act, I found 4 nights a week to be just fine. Do you know what I mean? Like Could I
Right.
benefit from running around and doing 10 sets in a fucking night? Maybe, but I also feel like there's like a ceiling to that too. And it's all dependent on how you are and how you work, you know?
And so like, how did you? Because I know you opened for Joey, but like, how did you end up getting to open for some of these bigger comics?
I just work the clubs, man. Like I would go to the clubs, I'd do guest sets or MC. Eventually, some of them started middling me. And the way that I worked with Joey, I got that one lucky. The first time I worked with Joey was at a rock club, and it was for him and Ari doing a tour of
Right.
like rock clubs back in 2011. And I got that one through the radio. I don't really know how. They just knew I was doing comedy, and they booked me as like the host of it, the guy that like promoter or whatever. So that
Right.
was the first time I worked with Joey. But then by the time I worked with him again, I had been passed as a middle at Helium and a couple other clubs. So I mean, I got to work with like almost like between 2012 and 2017, I worked with like everybody in New York. I mean, a lot of the LA guys. I mean, there's only. I mean, if you name it, I pretty much opened for them at one point, even if they don't remember me or if it was an MC spot or something. You know.
That's I mean, and I mean, I think you're a very funny comedian, but the reason I like one of the reasons I respect you is like we first met at the fourth wall, and you had just moved out, and like I was just pretty much brand new into comedy, maybe a year. I don't remember exactly when, but like you basically had to start almost like the fact that I saw you at an open mic place was like, why is he doing open mics? He's so
Well, I mean,
fun.
it didn't feel like starting over to me because like it still feels like, dude, I'm not anywhere. Like I know I have those things and I've done the road and I'm in at some clubs or whatever, but it's like, dude, I can't even get booked on a fucking for a 10-minute set on some of these fucking shows now out here. And like I've tried, dude. I'm not gonna say the guy's name, but there's one guy in particular doing a show right now where like I am hitting him up constantly and he's blowing me off as if I am an open micer, which fine, okay. But like that's why I just don't ever feel like I'm not an. I mean, I'm gonna go if there's a list where I can sign up and be at this place and do a set. Maybe it's not ideal and it's in front of comics or whatever, but if I have an idea that I'm trying to say the first time ever, that's enough. I don't need it to be in front of like the full main room of the Comedy Store and go try a joke out. Do you know what I mean? And I don't
Right.
even understand the desire to want to do that. Like, I guess if you get to a certain point of fame, you don't want to go to an open mic or whatever, but I find use in them still. You know what I mean? Like, especially when things are really chopping along. I found use in going to like do 2 or 3 of those in one night and say this joke out and suss it out in my brain and then bring it to a real show, you know, as opposed to just throwing it out there in front of a sweet crowd and not knowing, and maybe you blow it, you know what I mean? Or maybe you like ruin the momentum of your set.
Yeah, I mean, and like what? Because I know there's younger or not even age wise, but just newer comics who listen to this. So like, what made you make the decision to move from Buffalo to LA? Like, were you like born and raised and
No,
like
I mean, that one was easy. That was like money. I mean, like Tom was like,
really?
you can have my whole tour, the rest of my tour, if you move to LA. And there were no promises beyond that. It was just like, you can have the rest of my 2017 dates if you move to LA. And I knew it was enough money to like get me started where I could just like chill for a second and like get a job or whatever, which I did
Right.
at that office or whatever. But like,
I was gonna ask you about that in a second, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So I mean, like I knew it was enough to like at least I can get an apartment here or something and just get my footing. Because like if I said no to that, that would be like saying no to progressing in comedy. So I did it. I mean, that was the whole reason.
So you weren't like nervous about it at all,
Oh
or
no,
were you?
I mean, I'm as nervous about it as I am about my career in general. But it was like I knew saying no to it would mean I'm doing this. I'm stuck in Buffalo forever. I mean, how many times does an opportunity like that come across where you're just like, I get to do the road for 4 months, just that, and make good money enough to like get some roots in LA or at least like plant my feet in LA, and then I'll go from there. You know what I mean? Like, or I die. Do you know? Like it's all goes back to that. You know.
That's
So
gonna be the name of your autobiography, or I die.
yeah,
And
that's
like,
really all. Every decision I've ever made is like, I do this, it works, or I die. You know.
And like, so I mean, well, yeah, when we first met, I remember it was an office job. I don't remember exactly what you were doing,
I don't remember
but
exactly what I was doing either, but I it had something to do with like negotiating medical bills on behalf of like clinics and hospitals against the insurance companies. I have no qualifications doing that. They just I knew Excel and I interviewed well, I guess. So they like gave me a job.
and then how did you end up getting on your mom's house?
Well, I don't remember how it came up, but I was doing that office job and I was doing a podcast with my friend Matt Bergman that I was just talking about starting me in comedy. We were just doing one for like I just needed to do something to keep my like chops up. You know what I mean? I felt like I haven't been on the radio and at that time in like 7 months. I feel like I am losing something. Do you know what I mean? Like a muscle. So I was doing that podcast with him and I was just kind of like doing it on my own. We were doing it on that Anchor app and I was
Right.
cutting up the audio and just like putting it out or whatever. And we were doing that and Tom called me and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm editing this podcast. I'm doing this podcast." And I don't know why it's like Vietnam all of a sudden. It's such a weird thing. But he goes, "Oh, really? That's weird. I was just gonna ask you. I'm starting a studio. Would you want to work there?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I didn't even hesitate. I was like, "Yes, of course." I didn't even know what I would be doing. I was like, "Of course, dude. Of course." And like at the time, it was all very nebulous and like I didn't know what I'd be doing exactly or whatever. And like he did like throw it out there. He's like, "Eventually, you'd have your own show or something like that." I don't remember all the conversations, but like sure enough, another time he's like, "You want to come by and we'll have you tape a episode of your mom's house so people can like meet you or get to know you or whatever." And that was like the one I did at his house. And then we went and took a drive over to the studio. I was like, "Here's where the studio is going to be." And he showed me like the insides of it or whatever. And it was amazing. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to get to be a part of this, everything like that." And I didn't know that that meant I was going to be on his show in any capacity. I just thought I was going to help out like with guests or whatever, not even booking guests, like just like, doing typical, like almost like PA stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
making sure everyone's comfortable, blah, blah, blah. Like that's that kind of shit. I didn't know. So he knew I had like background in producing a radio show and I could come up with some stuff. And I hope I did come up with some ideas while I was in that capacity doing some things. And I think I did, but, yeah, I was on the show a bunch and, it was amazing. It was so much fun. And then eventually I started my own show and now here we are today where it's going to venture off into its own little realm of the internet, I hope.
Yeah. So I have a few more questions, but since you brought it
Oh,
up,
of course.
why don't we tell everybody, um, because you have the Josh Potter show. It's funny that you had to change the name, which I thought was hysterical. But you have the Josh Potter show, and you have a new YouTube for it.
Yes. And it sucks because YouTube is such assholes about new channels. Like I don't have a URL. Like they just don't let you make a URL, which is insane. I don't
Right.
even know how many subscribers you have to get up to have your own URL. So you can find the link in the description of the episodes that have come out the past 2 weeks and the subsequent ones that'll come out for April. But yeah, starting in May, it'll go on to that YouTube channel. And of course, on my Instagram and on my Twitter, you can find the link to the new channel as well. And I think now by searching me in YouTube, I think it might pop up, but I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, so
But anyhow,
definitely go check
I'm
him out.
sorry.
Oh no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fine.
subscribe to it. I need as many subscribers as humanly possible. So because then that makes you be able to have a URL and amongst other things. So please subscribe to that, and hopefully I'll see you in May. Oops, sorry,
Oh, no, it's fine.
my battery.
Oh, do you have enough battery for like 10 more minutes?
Yeah, of course. It's at
Okay.
20%. So I mean, it's been going this whole time.
Okay. So yeah, we'll but like a lot of people ask me about like Joey, and like I never met Joey, and like you had a similar thing with Tom, but like I think the thing that stood out to me about you is like when we first met, you actually gave me, and if you want me to take this out, I will. You gave me a thank you note for Joey. I never read it.
Oh yeah, I know that you can mention that. Yeah,
I
that's okay.
I never read it, but like especially with people like that, I think like how we were talking about how like when you're young you email just like crazy things to people. like I know for a fact, Joey, and I'm sure Tom probably gets 1,000 emails a week. Like, let me produce your show. Or like they don't know how to act around other. I'm not gonna say famous, but like well-known people. And like
Right.
part of the reason why I think you and I were like kept our jobs for so long, it's because like you're not gonna like when Mike Tyson came on, I was like, "Hey, Mike, can I get a picture?" Like I knew when to be quiet and when to like say things, and like I was a nice person. So like I
Right. No,
I think that's
that's a big
important.
thing. Like not getting like I didn't take pictures with people when they came in, or like I don't get starstruck by celebrities. I'm a professional first. You know what I mean? Like so, if I'm
Right,
acting as a producer, I'm gonna be like, hey, do you want anything to drink? Or whatever. I'm not gonna be like, hey, can I get your fucking picture with? You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have done that when I was 17 years old and I was working as a producer in Buffalo, let alone
right.
in this capacity. So yeah, no, of course. I mean, I would. I mean, at the very least, I think Tom knows through just working with him as a opener or whatever that I'm not like out of pocket when it comes to social settings. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like I'm pretty
right. You're
chill.
not gonna
So
embarrass him, and
exactly.
I
So
gotta
I can
say,
at least attest to that part of it. I might not be very skilled as a producer in terms of technical things or knowledgeability in that realm, but I at least know that I'm not an asshole in front of celebrities.
well, it's funny because Joey once told me, and he once told me that I get paid. He paid me to take edibles. Like I did like the production stuff for free. And I had the I'm not when I say this, I had a dream job and I loved every second of it. But I was always jealous of you because like I got high and Joey would fart at me. Like it was funny and fun, but like you had like people sending in like things like please let me try to make you come. Like hot girls were like
Yeah,
please
no, that was
all I
fun.
want in life is to make Josh Potter come. And I'm like god, he really got the good gig.
Well, I mean, and I don't know if this to be true or not, but I'm pretty sure it's true. Like Joey is a very like Tom thinks that there's like, and at least like everyone thought this that it's a very heavy male demographic for your mom's house. It's really not. It's couples. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's a lot of couples, and so when a girl listens to something, she tells her friends about it. So there are quite a few women that listen to that show compared to many other podcasts. So I
Right.
lucked out in that regard, but I don't know that Joey has. I mean, I know Joey has some women,
Yeah, he
obviously,
has
like women
someone, but
just like podcasting, a comedy podcast.
a lot of the women are wives or girlfriends though. So like a
Right, right,
couple of
right.
times I had a girl DM me and I'm like, it's about to happen. And then it's like my boyfriend and I love you. I'm like, shit. But like, did you ever have anyone? I know you had a couple people try, but like, was that just like an avalanche of girls?
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to say it was an avalanche, but it definitely was like my social life accelerated exponentially from the year 2019 to, well, I mean, even during the pandemic. I mean, I can't believe some of them still stuck aboard and like wanted to hang out and came to LA during the fucking pandemic. You give them a free plane ticket, they seem to want to do things, but like, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
that'll get them out there.
yeah.
I had a girl, and if she's I'm not gonna say her name, but I just always I don't know. Joey still makes fun of me because I had this girl from Ohio reach out, and she was saying all these dirty stuff, all these dirty things to me, and she was like, you should eat pineapple and berries so I can drink your stuff, your juice. And I was not eating any fruit, but I went out and bought a ton of fruit. So Joey,
See,
some
what you're supposed to do is to tell them you ate all that and don't eat it.
well,
So that you're just like, blah, and you blast some battery acid
right.
under it.
I should have done that, but Joey to this day will still be like, whatever happened to the pineapple girl, and like right as she was supposed to come, it didn't. It ended up not happening. But it was just like I had one girl before I met my ex that in Boston that we hooked up. We had like one night in a hotel and it was awesome. But like I for some reason attract girls who are in open relationships and it kind of freaks me out. Like I'm not like that.
Yeah,
I'm not good.
I'm not freaked out by that. I'm actually like encouraged by that because then I know like there's no like not that I care about like strings attached, but I know there's no like they have a whole thing outside of me. They're not going to let me ruin that, and I'm not going to let them ruin that over me. Do you know what I
right,
mean?
right. Yeah, I guess
So
you.
it's a nice little like this is a vacation for both of us, kind of. You know what I mean?
You have God, I need you to be like my life coach when it comes to it. We have a much better like mind behind it. Fuck, I
Yeah, I mean,
love it.
I do. I really do. I really wish I could like expand your brain to think like outside of the black and white aspects of normal relationships with women.
I had a girl recently. We were talking for like 4 days, and I have my height in my profile, but she didn't see it, so I let her know, and she unmatched without even saying goodbye, which I
You
thought
got to
was
get off
hysterical.
those. I mean, right now, obviously, like it's a whole new world I don't understand, but like those apps are fucking horseshit, dude. I even before I was on anything, I gave up on those apps. Like when I moved here, actually, I was like,
I
I have a better chance at meeting a girl at an open mic than I do on these apps.
yeah,
And I definitely fucked some trolls at some open mics around here, like to start things out to really grease the tires going. You know what I mean? And some fun ones too. Like there are some girls that I met at open mics here, female comics or whatever, that I still like consider like some of the most fun times of my life. So
right.
you never know what you're gonna get.
I'm gonna have to try that. So I want to end with you already sort of talked about it, the Josh Potter show, and it's just it's great, man. Like I think it's great. It's sort of like when they have a movie that comes out and it's not just cookie cutter. Like you have a very unique style. Like you do like I forget, it's like the queef of the week, or it's like you have some. It's like a very like you talk about queefs.
I'm just
And,
doing like morning zoo shit. Like I really feel like I'm not doing something unique. Like I'm just doing like what I would like a radio show if I didn't have an FCC, basically. Only
right.
now it's like I have a YouTube, so they're like even worse than the FCC sometimes. But like it's like honestly it's just me doing a radio show without the radio part of it. And I thought it was terrifically unoriginal, but I'm glad you think so. And I'm curious to see how it's going to evolve here as time goes on. But I just like the fact that I don't do it, you know, relying on guests, because then, you get down the whole path of like, I need a guest. And then if they don't come through, or like if they suck, it becomes very much out of your control. I feel like when
It
you are
does.
relying on that.
Oh, and like so like what I guess the only question I had about it was like because we talked about earlier with my dad. It's like what how is it different, or like how is it now doing a podcast coming from radio? Like does it feel the same? Do you like it more or less? Like what is it like?
It's been an adjustment. I'll say that. Like, I don't know if I like it more or less. It's still kind of the same, but you know what I miss most about radio, I'll say, is I miss the fact that anybody can find it at any moment, and like they can be jumping in at any moment, they could be leaving at any moment. It's like it's happening then. It's not but I also appreciate that about podcasting, that it's a deliberate, like people have to fucking click on you and listen to you from beginning to end. They can bail out, I guess, in the middle, but like it's not like radio where someone's just like squeak, 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 and then they find you. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And while that's awesome, like while I enjoy that aspect of it, this deliberance of it is more meaningful, because that means they really like you to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
right.
sure, of course, you'd have people tune you in on the dial, but like a lot of it was people stumbling. You even enjoyed playing into the people stumbling upon you, and then
Really?
be like, "What the fuck is this?" Do you know what I mean? Like, I would hope for that. I'd be like, could you imagine if you were just tuning into that, like right then, what you know what I mean? That was part of the rush for me. That was part of
Right.
the juice. And then you
That
get
makes sense.
callers. Yeah, and you'd have calls and stuff like that. So it was more in the moment. I felt more engaged, and it was every day. You know what I mean? It was Monday
Right.
through Friday for hours. So I just felt more in the pocket quicker. Whereas this, I still feel like I'm not yet comfortable or there. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm like every time I get in a groove, I have to wait X amount of time to tape again. So it's like I'm fall out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know your situation, um, but whenever you do start going, so like, have you thought about doing more episodes?
I mean, I have actually, I really have, but it's all contingent on how this flushes out and like what it is and stuff like that. I would like to just be able to tape closer to its airing, and without being, that's one of the benefits of not being at the studio anymore. Is like really I'm low on the totem pole, so I have to conform to like schedules. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
if
Yeah.
and there's some big schedules in there, so I mean like I get shuffled around a little bit to the point where I'm backlogging things, or I'm taping very far in advance. So for what I want to do, it makes it tough, because I talk about some things that are like in the news or whatever, So,
Right.
and if I want to talk about sports, that tends to be pretty topical. So it's tough to talk about something 2 weeks in advance, or something that happened just then and then have it come out 2 weeks later, and the whole thing could have changed by then, you know?
Right, absolutely. Well, I'm happy for you, man. I know I just went through it in August, um, and I know that like it can be, at least for me. I don't want to speak for you. Was anxiety producing, going from like
Yeah.
a set income to like now it's fully your own thing, and I didn't start mine. I wish I had, but I just didn't when I was still on the church. Um, but like it is fun to sort of like be fully in control and to see it grow little by little. And like I just know how funny you are and how great it is, and I'm excited. I hope hopefully we'll talk in a few months and be like, God, it's been better than ever.
Well, yeah, I mean, I am hopeful, and I appreciate all of that, by the way. Thank you. I I am less scared than I was like a couple of weeks ago, which is nice. You know what the shitty part about it is, honestly, is just the loneliness of it. Like I really
Right.
enjoyed the company of all those people. I enjoyed working with them. They made me more creative. Especially working, with Tom so much closer than ever before. And so, I mean, I'm going to miss all of that for sure. That's the part I'm going to miss most of all. Um, and it just blows, like I feel like I will be stifled being alone. So I have to figure out how to surround myself with people who want to work with me and people that I also find creative and invigorate me really. So I mean that part is the most daunting of it, and it's exciting, but it's also like probably the most scary. Like forget about the money or whatever. I'm starting to like realize that that's a little more easier to come by for the small nut that I have, um, than the other part, which is like working with people you really value their opinion and want to like work together with so that you both get better. You know what I mean? Like, so finding that's going to be weird, and I don't even know if that's a thing. Like, I'm actually going to like call Tim Dillon or something to be like, how'd you find the guy you work with? Like, what's that process like? You know what
Right.
I mean? Or
Well, be careful.
I
Now,
know it from our end of things.
right, you're gonna get a ton of emails now. I'll help you. So I
Oh no, that's what I mean. Like, I know it from our end of things, but like, as far as how they go, and like, how did Joey know that you weren't insane, or like, how did Tom know Nadav wasn't insane? You know what I mean? Like, you feel it
right.
out, I guess, and it's a trial and error. But it seems like they both, all the cases that I know, struck it on the first one pretty out of the park, pretty nicely. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Well,
so
I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's like for Joey and I, before I ever went to his house or even did any work, I like looking back on it. I didn't realize it at the time, but like we met outside the old haha. Like not it was up the street from where it is now, and like we just sat there and talked for like 2 months, like a few times a week. So like I feel like maybe you just have to get to know people. But yeah, no, the
yeah, that's the
internet.
thing. Like, and I feel like it's just it's a journey. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like I've done in LA this amount of time, and there was nobody when this was presented to me. There was nobody I was like, I want to do it with them. Do you know what I mean? Like in
Right.
my brain.
Right.
So it's like, how do you not just like manufacture that? Do you know what I mean? How does it become natural? But you also need like you have to get things done in a certain amount of time. So it's like it's been weird and like I don't know. But
Well,
stand up is a fucking solo sport, and
yeah.
so I shall deal with this the same way. I don't know.
Well, speaking of that, I know you have some gigs. This is going to come out on Sunday, so I know you have some gigs coming up. But even if let's say people are listening in a year, where do they go to find your gigs?
Instagram, Twitter. I post in the link tree. I got them all up there. I'm not even fucking around with the website anymore. I just have them up there. My Twitter is at j_Potter. Even if you don't have Twitter, you just got to go to twitter.com/j_Potter, and the link tree is right in my bio. Same with Instagram, instagram.com/Josh_Potter. That's my Instagram handle, Josh_Potter. So that has all the links up there. Um, May 13th, I'm going to be in Omaha, Nebraska at the Omaha Funny Bone. June
Nice.
9th and 10th, I'm going to be in Florida, Tampa Improv, and Orlando Improv, June 9th and 10th. So those are the only gigs so far, but hopefully we'll get more going soon.
Awesome. Well, go check Josh out and the Josh Potter Show and the new. Don't if anything from this podcast, go sign up and subscribe to Josh's new YouTube.
It's so funny, dude. Don't you find this like for people to sign up or subscribe to YouTube, not sign up, but hit subscribe, it takes like 2 clicks for them. It's like really effortless and they don't even have to ever remember that they did it. but
Oh
for
yeah,
us, it like means the whole world.
it does. And I just started mine, so I think I let my like 4 or 5 thousand people on YouTube. So I just started, but it's like it also makes me a little bit more forgiving a little bit. Like I used to like kind of hoard my likes on Instagram. Like if I didn't really like it, I'd be like, oh, I'm not gonna like that. But like I know it actually like it does mean a lot
You know what's so
for
funny? I'm the
people.
opposite. I'm indiscriminate about my likes on
Oh,
Instagram to the
now
point
I
where
do
like,
that. Yeah.
well, girls used to get mad at me. They'd be like, "You like that girl's photo?" I'm like, "I just like all the photos. I don't. I just go through it and click them all. I don't.
Yeah, I know
I'm
it
not
makes I
trying."
know it makes someone happy. I don't care. I'm not trying to hit on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much for coming on, Josh.
Thanks for having me, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. I hope.
Thank you so much to Josh. Everyone give a round of applause to Josh Potter. Woo! And the crowd goes wild for Josh Potter. Thank you so much for coming on, buddy. It was great to have you. Great to just chat. I mean, let me just put it this way, guys. Even if you don't have a podcast, schedule a Zoom with someone you might not have seen in a while. Maybe it's not even because of the pandemic. Maybe it's your high school best friend and you guys just haven't chatted. See each other face to face. Don't text them. Zoom them. See, I'm writing ads for companies. More companies reach out because Manscaped did, and they're thrilled, even though they have yet to hear it. And I hope they don't get upset at anything I said. I'm sorry. But Josh, before I get to Manscaped, Josh is great. He's a great dude, very funny comedian. If you're ever anywhere, I know he said his dates. I believe one of them was Omaha. We recorded a couple days ago, so listen to him, not to me. I didn't write that part down. But you know where you can find Josh's dates? You can find them on his Instagram and Twitter. His Twitter is at J_Potter, and his Instagram is at Josh_Potter. Very similar, but not the same. Same idea. Or you could just use Google. That's fun, right? Because Google will do all of that for you. So thank you very much to Josh for coming on. Thank you, all of you, for listening and watching. Someone got mad at me in the comments. I do say thank you to my Patreon people. I have to. I don't have to, but I do. They don't make me. They're not here with a gun on my head like, thank me, bitch. But I like to thank them. But I feel like I thank you almost every episode. Just you who got mad at me in the comments. But I do everyone, whether you subscribe to anything or not, thank you. Honestly. Otherwise, I am just a crazy person in my mom's work loft talking into a microphone for no reason. So thank you very much for continuing to watch and listen. If this was your first episode of What Was I Thinking, go back. We have some great ones with, we have George Perez. We have one with a guy named Johnny Mitchell who used to sell $1 million worth of weed a year, and then he went to prison. Oopsies. And then we have one with Shahan Kashafian. Remembered his name. Hard name to remember. I still remembered it. And he explained what Bitcoin is and why you should consider maybe perhaps having some. I myself have just under 1/10 of one Bitcoin. So that's not very impressive, but it's there, and you can't take it from me because you don't know my wallet key. So I do want to say thank you very much to Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, and you're going to get 20% off and free shipping. That's almost the best part. Free shipping with code Syatt. S as in Sam, YATT. That's what you mean to me at manscaped.com. That's 20% off of your order of the Perfect Package 3.0, which comes with Crop Preserver, boom, Crop Reviver. I almost said Proviver, but that's not a word. It's the Reviver, Crop Reviver. This also is the Lawnmower 3.0. Damn, boom, look at this. I don't even need the hand to hold it. The stand holds it. Also comes with a free gift. Soft, silky boxers. Boom. And the shed. Be an adult. Don't put your toiletries in a plastic sack anymore. And your balls will thank you. Don't forget, manscaped.com. Use code Syatt, S as in Sam, YATT, to get 20% off and free shipping. What's better than that? Your balls smelling great when someone wants to lick them. That's all. because that's all that matters, is that they stay down there for as long as possible, right? That's it. You want them there. You want them to move into your balls, don't you? Just pick up. You got some good space for rent. You want them to live in and around your balls. And you know what's going to help them do that? Manscaped. You're a landlord and you're renting your balls and your park. Forget free rent. It's Manscaped. Your balls smell great. Congratulations. Thank you very much for watching and listening to What Was I Thinking? Thank you to Josh Potter for coming on, and come back next week and I will introduce you to another of my favorite people on What Was I Thinking? Thank you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.